It's always a good time when you hear that. And you know what that means. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. Actually, like I always say, good evening. What's good? What up to everyone who is tuning in right now to episode number 6 of 27 Outs. Of course, I'm Ivan alongside Stefan. And man, we had great weather today. A few days of baseball being back. I mean, we can actually say that for the rest of the year at this point now, because like you literally have baseball every single day from now on.
It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And when I tell you I spent 12 hours watching games, that's all I did all day yesterday. It was the most beautiful thing in the world. I woke up at about 12, had me some nice pancake and eggs, and then I said, you know what? There's baseball on. I put on the Met game. I had Tigers, White Sox on the computer. I had like 5 different games going at one time at certain points.
We know. I know the viewers don't know, but we have a group chat going on where we talk about baseball and more. But yeah, to add on to what Stefan just said, the guy literally sends his pictures and he has like almost 8 games going at once.
No, yeah, it's what's crazy is mom comes in. We're gonna sidebar this a little bit. We're gonna have some fun. She comes in yesterday because when she leaves, I was watching baseball. She comes back. I got the Mariners and Dodgers. I had the Mariners on the TV and I got the Dodgers on the computer. And she goes, "Have you moved from that spot all day?" And the answer is no. No, I have not.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, at least not to me.
No, I have not. I have not moved. I have not done anything. All I've done all day is watch baseball. And here's the beautiful thing, right?
That's your happy place.
Oh my goodness. If you've been keeping up, by the way, follow us on 27 Outs 3C on Instagram. Follow us on the Instagram. Because what I'm doing now is I'm taking stories from each parts of these games and I'm giving you the home runs, the big action plays. So if you miss something throughout the course of the day and it's a big moment in the game, more than likely you're going to know, oh shit, highlight. Let me go watch that real quick. So follow the Instagram. We're going to talk about some shit I saw yesterday and today. This whole weekend was unbelievable. This whole weekend might have been the greatest weekend of my year.
I don't know why, but something about this season, man. Is it just me, but there's just a different feeling. It feels like I've been waiting longer than usual, even though I wait just as much as I always do every single year. But this year, I've been wanting it more. Maybe the show kind of like brings that fire back where I just want to watch every single damn game.
Yo, it's not even a joke. Like, so me and this guy were texting, right? Well, because like he said, he mentioned the group chat. Last inside baseball reference, right? He mentions the group chat. So I'm watching the Blue Jay Rays game the other day, and here's the chat. Yo, I'm watching that one too. And I'm like, all right. So I know I'm not the only psychopathic one that got all these games on, just trying to find. See, because I don't know if you do the same thing that I do, but when I watch baseball, I like to look at how pitchers are setting up hitters, right? Let's have a little teaching moment, like
especially with the way some of them like to mess around with timing nowadays.
Yeah, like
Stroman being one of those guys.
So I'm watching. We're gonna talk about Stroh in a minute because he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yesterday, but Yamamoto, I'm watching him yesterday, and this dude is throwing absolute filth, and I'm just like, oh my god. And listen, the Cardinals look helpless against you. That lineup can't hit the side of a barn if it was in his face. The only reason why they scored 5 runs is because, like I've been telling y'all, that Dodger bullpen is allergic to getting outs.
You know, the Cardinals, it's crazy. Like, what happened to them? Like, just a couple years ago, wasn't like Paul Goldschmidt the MVP winner, the National League? Nolan Arenado, I think, made it close as well. And it's like those things just don't exist anymore.
It's what happens when you get old, man. You know how it happens when you get old.
Right.
The,
Goldschmidt isn't all the guy.
the players are the last to know, yo, I'm old. I can't play at this level anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the last people to know, like, hold on, he just threw a fastball right by me.
It's very rare for a guy to check out or retire earlier in this case. Like you said, a lot of players, they really just go on until they literally can't. I think one guy who comes to mind who recently retired over the past few years, who I think retired when he genuinely wanted to, like without really hurting himself and giving it another attempt. Buster Posey.
Yeah,
Buster all that late.
Most guys aren't that smart. Now remember, Buster had some concussion issues and stuff he was dealing with, which kind of necessitated him to retire. But at the same time, it's beautiful when a guy has that foresight to say, you know what, I'm gonna retire at my time. You know, I'm not gonna hang on, because the one thing that I was upset about as a baseball fan is watching Miguel Cabrera's last 4 years in the big.
Yes, that's a great point, man.
I'm like, he couldn't.
Not just Miggy, but how about the last 10 years of Pujols' career?
Yeah, no, rough.
It was just literally the complete opposite of what we saw the first 10.
Rough. And the thing is like you start realizing that these guys are the last to know that they can't play anymore, because nobody's gonna tell them because of what they mean to the game. Like, you start realizing, like, yo, these guys, they really can't play anymore. Like, you started, like, I watched it this weekend, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to point out something that made me go, hold up. It might be a changing of the guard in this one. Because for the first time since I've been watching this dude, he looks old.
Who are you talking about?
Goldschmidt. He looks old.
Yes.
Nolan, he looks old.
Right.
Like, these guys look old. Like, you can tell, damn, Father Time coming to get you, bro. Mm-hmm. It ain't on some, yo, maybe he could preserve it. You know, when there's just like a steep drop off where you know it's a wrap and there's really no getting around it. Like, it's I know it's early in the season, but when you got guys blowing heaters past you and I'm like, yo, they look old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and the thing is, that's the fear of hanging on too long, right? That's why you watch some of these teams. I'm gonna tell you this right now. If I'm Houston, I'm taking a wrecking ball at the end of the year. It's done. Wrecking ball, bro. Like,
hold on, just to clarify. And by the way, guys, we're about to get into our first topic right after this. But let me ask you. So you're saying that if you're the Astros, you're going to ride it out one final year?
Oh, yeah.
So even if you win, it's a wrap?
Yeah, I'm treating this as like the last dance, Bull style, circa 98.
Gotcha.
Like, because you can't keep, how many kicks at the can you going to get before the chickens come home to roost? Like, Bregman's out. I don't care what they tell you. Oh, he extension, we'll talk. If they wanted to extend you, they could have. But they didn't want to.
The same way they recently did with Altuve.
Yeah, and the same way they're going to do with Jordan in about a year.
Right.
They're going to go, here's a $300+ million check. Put whatever you want at the end of that month.
Kyle Tucker is another guy who they
Kyle Tucker's another one who's they're gonna have to pay. Yeah. Bregman, to me, feels like the odd man out. And I'm going to tell you, Alex Bregman looks like a shell of his former. The guy, yo, I don't know if it's me, but his hands don't look as quick into the inside fastball. He doesn't look as motivated. Like, the one guy I was waiting for the two guys, not even on the Yankees too, but the two guys I spotlighted this weekend, I'm like, him and Goldie. Those are the two guys that I'm like, yo, they haven't impacted the baseball not one time significantly enough to the point where I was like, oh, if he hits this, it's going to
right.
He's hitting somebody's window or something like that. We out of here.
I'm glad you mentioned the Astros because, again, like you mentioned, we are going to get into them and the Yankees towards the end of today's show.
Yeah.
But of course, talking about making changes and just what baseball has been like over the past few days, ever since opening day. By the way, shout out to you guys who did join us on Thursday for that special opening day episode of 27 Outs. that was great. Honestly, on a Thursday, it was the first time we had done something like that. And please keep in mind that we would like to do that more often with you guys, but of course, let us know how you guys feel. The more we feel the energy, the more we'll bring those special episodes to you guys.
And I'm gonna tell you guys, man. I'm gonna say it. I've been saying it. We got a goal we want to reach subscriber wise. So get us to the 80 subscribers, and you will get some bonus content. So 80 is the number we're shooting for. We got bigger numbers at mind, of course, but we don't want to jump the gun quite yet. But 80 feels like a reasonable request because
and like Stephen said just a few minutes ago, as a reminder, follow us on Instagram at 27 ounce. And of course, if you're watching right now and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, let's get into it, Stephen, because I think when it comes to this first topic, you and I are probably maybe one of or two of very few people who think that it might be time for a change in Toronto. And, we were talking about it off the air a bit, and it looks like Toronto, I was telling Stephen that the Baltimore Orioles are what I think many thought the Blue Jays were supposed to be. And what I mean by that is, of course, when they brought up guys like Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette, Cavan Biggio, and not just those guys, but then you made all these acquisitions. You brought in George Springer. You brought in Matt Chapman, who's no longer there. Now you have Justin Turner, Kevin Gausman. They've actually tried, but for some reason, it's just not working for them.
All right. Time to get real on the show. Time to tell the truth. It's not working because they're not meant to win. They're not. You look at these guys and it's like they're front runner dudes. How many times have you watched the Blue Jays late in the season and they're blowing 8-9 run leads? They're not into the game. You know what I watched this weekend? And this is what brought me to this conclusion. How many times can we watch the pitching be subpar and them throw the ball all over the field? And here's the other one. If they don't hit a home runs, they probably won't win many games. That's the thing, right? It's not like the offense is sound enough where if something were to happen where you stopped hitting homers, you can win games in other ways. They right now are a literally one-trick pony. They're not that good defensively because I don't believe that Bo Bichette is the shortstop. I don't see what everybody else sees. I don't like the range. His arm is below average.
Yeah, defensively, I do agree with you. His bat is definitely a lot better than what he is defensively.
And I'm at the point right now where I feel like, you wonder if they themselves, whether it's in their own heads, right? Because you know how good they expect themselves to be. You know the expectations, especially in Canada, where you're playing for forget playing for a city. They're playing for an entire country. You know what I mean? Right. It's a different level of pressure, although they're much nicer in Canada than we are in New York.
That's true. I think any place that is in New York, people just have more manners and more respectful. I mean, here in New York, you can't even greet somebody in the morning. They'll look at you like you did something wrong.
You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say that for Philadelphia after the weekend they had this weekend. I thought they were going to burn down Citizens Bank, brother. I was like, hold on.
Right.
I'm
going to say this right now. I know it's very early, but since we're talking about the Blue Jays, I'm sorry, but I agree with Stephen, man. This might be saying a little too much, but if I'm them, I'll start doing something by the deadline. And the reason why I say that is because they're not a playoff team to me. I mean, let's go through the teams right now. The Baltimore Orioles, and the New York Yankees in your division alone. The Blue Jays at that point, you're fighting for third place in that division.
And I don't think that I don't even think it's a toss-up whether they're better than Tampa now.
Exactly. So you might be the fourth place team, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Then you have the teams in the American League West who, at least one or two of those teams are going to get wild card spots. You got the Rangers, the Astros, and the Mariners fighting.
Right.
The Blue Jays, they just don't fit for me. They just don't.
Because when you look at it
on paper, they look like a better team. When you watch the Blue Jays, they obviously are not as good as the list of names that they have on their roster.
Mm-hmm. It's like, how long can we live off potential before we start to see some actual results, right? And that's the thing that I come back to. Is like, we know how good you want to be, but actions got to speak at this point.
Right.
Because how long can we keep waiting on, yo, if this comes together, yo, if this comes together, yo, if it ain't come together by now, the pieces don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
If it ain't all the way right now, how long do you wait before it's like, like, I don't know. And I don't know how long of a leash Ross Haskins had, the general manager. I don't know how long of a leash Mark Shapiro has, the president. I don't know how long. You just spent $300 million renovating the Rogers Center. You got to see some bang for your buck for those renovations. Like, you struck out on Ohtani. You didn't get it. You didn't trade for Soto like you wanted to. You didn't even land Cody Bellinger like you thought you were going to.
Right.
At some point, you have to look at it and go, maybe this just ain't it.
Yeah. And I can't believe I just said what I said a couple of minutes ago when I mentioned them having to really start making a move or two at the deadline, because usually, and you know this too, Stefan, you're usually the guy who would say something like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's only right in this case, man. Like, I'm usually the guy who would probably want to hold on for like another year or two. Meanwhile, Stefan done already checked out. But in this case, I think you and I are literally seeing eye to eye in this case.
I'm gonna tell you this because you remember, like, I told you this off mic like a year ago. Yeah, Vladdy gotta go. What?
That's true. Yeah, you did.
Vladdy gotta go. A year ago, I was the one. Yo, I blow the whole thing up. What you mean? Why? Because you can look at a team mentally and know they're just not there. Like, to me, same thing with the Padres. This is a make or break year for San Diego. We can't keep living on, Fernando and Manny and all these dudes. At some point, you got to take a dump or get off the pot, bro. You can't be sitting there forever.
I definitely can see Manny Machado playing elsewhere at some point.
I can't.
I can see that happening.
Not with the money he's making. I can't.
Really? So you don't think somebody would want to take on that deal?
No.
He's not a terrible player.
Yeah, but what happens when he becomes 33, 34, 35 years old and you still got to pay him?
And then with the way he plays third base, is he really going to have that same range?
Yeah, and also too, he already had, like, I think elbow surgery he had this past winter, so you're already starting to see a deterioration in terms of the body being like, I
mean, shit, I'm not surprised because those throws he makes from literally foul territory, something's going to happen eventually to the elbow.
I'm saying, like, at some point you got to think, like, Toronto, San Diego, I would say I will put here's what I'm gonna say. I would put Toronto, San Diego, and Houston in this similar pile, not the same pile, but similar, because I think changes are kind of formulating around.
The Houston one is so I of course agree with you when it comes to both Toronto and the Padres, right? The Houston one is a little tough for me, Stefan, because yes, I know how many times they've made it to the World Series and they've won and they've also came up short.
Yeah.
But I mean, how could you tear up an automatic ALCS appearance? Like, they've made it to what? Is it 6-7 straight?
But that's why. Because
how do you break that up?
Yeah, but that's exactly why I'm breaking it up. Because how many times do I get a kick at the can before?
Okay, so they've made it to as many that they've gone to, right?
Right.
Over those years, and they came out on top 2 times, right?
Right.
Why do you break that? That's my only thing.
All right. So
if I'm them, I'm literally gonna ride these guys out until the wheels fall off.
See, no, that's not smart.
I don't think the wheels fell off just yet. Because that was a hell of a series that they had against the Rangers in the ALCS, bro.
It's not about the wheels falling off, bro. It's about being preemptive and not waiting until they fall off. It's about doing it before then. Because if you wait, you're going to be in a bigger situation. For me, it's all about being preemptive. Like, you're already dealing with Jose Urquidy. Lance McCullers Jr. is not pitching until after the break. Same thing with Urquidy. We don't know if he needs Tommy John yet or not. We don't know what they're going to look like pitching wise.
Verlander's actually
Verlander's
showing
43.
age.
You know what I'm saying? Like Bregman don't look like he's done. He's checked out because he wants his bread. Altuve is going to be Altuve, and Jordan's going to be Jordan, and Tucker's going to be Tucker. Outside of that, Jeremy Pena took a nosedive off the cliff. Where the hell he went? He ain't the same guy he was a couple years ago.
Well, his rookie year.
He was unbelievable. But at some point, you got to think, yo, you know what? I hear what you're saying, right? But I go back to the Last Dance doc, right? Jerry Reinsdorf, the Bulls owner, was like, yeah, listen, we wanted to break it up after the 5th title. But I told Mike, yo, all right, we'll ride it out for 6, and then we got to go a different direction. Because if you watch the documentary,
so they were going to split up no matter what.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm kind of at this place now with Houston because at some point, how many times we're going to get a kick at this before it's like, hey, man, that might be it, right? Same thing with Toronto. How much are we gonna keep playing this game? Like, yo, maybe, if, this, that. You know what I mean? At some point, you got it. It's show improve time. Like, look at a guy like Gunnar Henderson. Let's just use him as an example because what a weekend he had. My Lord.
I saw a play that he made on a defensive end, man. That was ridiculous.
And then he just
literally all out, and he just hopped up, made the throw to first as if it was nothing.
Because he's 21 years old.
It's those young legs, man.
Word. If me and you think about doing that right now, we're gonna be in traction for the next 9 years.
I'm in pain for like 2 days, bro.
What? Forget about all that. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, the thing is, you have to start realizing, like, hey man, this it might be make or break. Seriously, it might be make or break. And I don't want to be that drastic, but you see, because look at how the game's going right now. The game's all going in versatility, power, speed. You got to be able to do multiple things, right?
Which I love, by the way, especially the fact that stealing bases has become more of a thing.
It's great. It's great. It's a great thing for the game, right? But you got to be able to be more preemptive. Like, Houston's getting older. How much more can we expect them to keep doing this? Toronto, they're not as flexible as everybody thinks, right? Vladdy's never playing third again. He's a first baseman because he's only going to get heavier, fill out more, whatever the case may be. Chapman, they let him go because they knew at his age he probably ain't going to be worth the investment that he wanted.
Right. Even though he has looked well for the Giants, but that's how he always starts. That's what he does.
But I'm gonna
tell you, last year, didn't he like start off just like that, if not better?
No, but so what happened with him is he hurt his thumb.
Last season?
He hurt his thumb and he wasn't the same after that. Right.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So he was dealing with a nerve issue in his thumb, and it screwed him up for the entire year.
Yeah.
But a healthy Matt Chapman, bro, Matt Chapman might give you 35, 100, and win a Gold Glove.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Giants' offense, and you know who rolls up from the dead like Lazarus? Michael Conforto with 2 bombs this weekend. I was like, okay, yeah. Mike. Yeah. All right, I see you. And, you know, I'm happy for a guy like that because I remember when he first came up, I'm like, yo, this kid's going to be a stud. And, like, his body just never gave him an opportunity to do it. So seeing him play healthy, a full 162 games, hopefully we get at least 140, 145 out of him. That Giant lineup is going to be serious. And we ain't even talking about Jorge Soler yet because, you know, he's going to hit a few. No, that Giant team is ridiculous. As you can tell, I watched a lot of baseball this weekend. I'm excited.
All right. Again, of course, follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now if you haven't already subscribed yet.
I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to flip this because usually Ivan leads us into topics. But this time I'm going to do it because the bonus topic that is not there is where we're going now because we're saving the Yankees for the very last topic of the show. The bonus topic I would like to talk about is this. Was the slide from Rhys Hoskins on Jeff McNeil dirty? Was it dirty? And if it wasn't, how do you go about policing this? Because let me just provide some context before we get into the conversation. before the rules, before the season, Major League Baseball said that they planned on enforcing the obstruction rule, which means if you get behind the bag, like you can't cover the bag unless you have the ball, right? So I don't know if this flies into the same thing. However, if you're asking me, I thought it was a dirty slide.
Yeah,
but
just a little bit.
For the modern era, I thought it was dirty. But here's why I'm going to say that. If you're talking about 90s baseball, 80s baseball, that's a play on and we keep it moving, right? But with the amount of protection they're giving catchers at the plate, second baseman as you go to touch the base, middle infielders, like that's considered dirty by today's standards. I'm not saying I think it's dirty personally, but if you're judging it just based off of today, that's a dirty play.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly why the Mets retaliated by throwing behind his back, which I think the following day was it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And listen, man, that's completely normal to me. I mean, I remember seeing stuff like that growing up. I'm sure you did too, Steph. And like,
speaking of the Mets,
do something wrong to you, and then now that same guy who did something wrong, we get into him.
Speaking of the Mets, I remember when Noah Syndergaard threw behind Chase Utley when Chase Utley broke Miguel Tejada's leg. You remember that?
Oh, Ruben Tejada, yes.
Tejada, yes.
Right,
yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
So, yeah, here's the other thing, too, and I'm going to say this, man. Enough with the histrionics. Yo, hold me back. Yo, if you really want smoke with the dude and he's barking at you, get up and punch him in his face.
You know where that actually happened? You saw the benches clear in that game between the Rays and the Blue Jays, I believe.
Yeah, your boy got mushed. What's his name?
They got him out at third, I believe. And then the pitcher of the Blue Jays, I guess he was sort of like right behind the bag. And I guess the runner didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the pitcher kind of like got close to him because he heard a few words. And then after a quick exchange, he mushed him in the face. I was like, damn, bro, you ain't have to do that.
See, but if you go and do all that, yeah. Throw up them dukes, B, and let's get it pop. Know what I mean? Because you ain't gonna sit there in my ear and go, yo, oh, you doing all that talk. And then Reese Hoskins, you look like a sucker because you out here doing this. When he screamed on you, when you got up, all you did was walk back to the dugout. If you really want to smoke after he just finished yelling at you, lay it back.
Let me ask you this, Stephen. And I know it's very early, but these two teams will meet each other again at some point later in the year. Do you think they drop it, or do you think this is gonna continue? Sorry.
Google when they meet again for me, real quick. Google that.
Let's see.
And while you do that, I think it's done by today's standards because these players is all full of talk. If it was up to me, right? First at bat in yesterday's game. He's getting one in the ribs. I'm not even giving you a pitch to hit. You're just going to take first base. You get one in the ribs real quick. It's not even – we're not having a conversation about anything because you can't do all that talking and all the crying and all the disrespect behind your boys because you in the dugout.
Right.
I'd have hit him in the ribs or I'd have backed him off the plate. But they didn't do that. And then when you throw behind the dude because you're down 9 runs, you look soft. You look like, oh, we don't want to fight you.
Wow, it looks like they don't meet again anytime soon until, I mean, I'm already in August right now, just to let you guys know.
So September, they probably.
And actually, their last three, the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th of September. Their last 3 games only.
Well, hold on. Well, none of them are going to be in it. So let's just have them fight on the field because y'all both ain't making the playoffs. So
that is true. Just because you said that too, I think they should just kind of like leave it, here. Because I agree with you, Steph, and I think both of them are going to be out of it. And at that point, are you guys going to fight each other for bragging rights? Because you're not doing anything else after that fight.
I mean, at that point. That's why this generation's soft, bro. Because you remember the generation, if it's Pedro, when you hit a Red Sox, Pedro came back the next day and he hit somebody in the ribs, and you're like, all right, we squared up. Right. It's a different game now. Granted, these guys throw harder than those guys did back then, so it could be cause of major injury. But I hit you with a nice little change up in your back pocket real quick, just to let you know, hey man, we here.
And I also think with like the big difference in what guys are earning today compared to back then, I think these guys have a little too much to lose.
And that's why, because there's too much money.
Right.
If you get suspended, what happens? You lose money. And these players were, for as capitalistic as they are, they're like, I ain't get suspended for this shit. For what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest. If I were in the big leagues myself, I don't know. I just feel like I would have that in me where, like, listen, man, if you go after one of my guys and I'm a pitcher, like nobody even has to tell me. I already know, like, oh, you did what?
I'm hitting your mans. Yeah, I'm hitting your mans. And listen, and most times the team will pay the fine for you.
Right.
Because I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, CC Sabathia cost himself a bonus because he hit a Rays player.
Yes,
and they
remember.
threw him out of the game, and he had hit an innings limit. He would have got $500,000, and he hit somebody. He loses the $500,000. So what the Yankees did was they wrote him a check for $500,000 and put it as a bonus in his contract, and was like, hey, you get it anyway.
That's I feel like that's how it should be done, man. I'm all for that, honestly.
Listen, you talking all that hot shit. You want to do it, we can do it. The problem is this generation, they all about this, bro. And notice you did that when you were in the dugout. You ain't face up man to man because you didn't want to get Tim Anderson sent to the next millennium. You didn't want to get Rougned Odor where you got hit where Jose Bautista got hit into 2032. Like you didn't want none of that. You know what I'm saying? So this whole generation is just soft.
Aside from the slide though, what did you think about that series? The Mets, of course, lost all 3 games. The Brewers definitely looked like the better team, I would say.
Listen,
but what'd you think?
I'm gonna tell you this: the series had one major impact for me. Jackson Churio, and Jackson Churio. The rest of it, I don't care. The Brewers, you're gonna be a meddling team. That's nice. You beat up on a Mets team that can't defend itself. That's nice. As far as the Mets go, let's go home. We 3 games in, but let's go home. Let's take it back all the way to Port St. Lucie. We'll see you in 2026.
Yeah,
let's go home. Because
wait, are you also counting out next year too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because here's what I'm gonna tell you.
And
right?
I think it's a good thing that I just asked you that, because I think a lot of Mets fans, and I don't want to speak for all of you guys, especially I'm not a Mets fan myself, but Stefan and I, like, we keep up with more than just our favorite team, of course. And in the Mets case, I feel like a lot of people are expecting them to bounce back and suddenly become that playoff team that won 100 games just a couple years ago. And I'm like, guys, I don't think you guys are there quite yet. Like, even for the playoffs, I still don't even see them making it interesting next year. So when you say 2026, I had to ask you because I'm also counting them out for next year as well.
Here's the thing. When the owner tells you we're going to cut back, we're going to do this a little differently, you got to believe him. Because he's the guy that's writing the checks. You got to believe him.
Yeah, but they're pocket watching. You know that.
They're pocket watching.
Everyone knows how much he makes, and that's why I think a lot of people feel like, all right, we're going to have this 1 year where we retool, and Steve Cohen is going to get right back to spending a lot of money again.
Let me ask you this. If you're Steve Cohen with 100, now this is important for context, with $100 million in dead money on your books for this season, and you see how the fan base didn't show up for you during those playoff games, why would you spend more money on top of bad? It makes no sense. For me, if you're Steve Cohen, see what you got in Jet Williams, see what you got in Acuna, see what you got in the other kid, Gilbert, the outfielder. See what you got in these kids, and then let's try to build a nucleus for 2026.
You know what I would say too about the Mets? I don't know if you feel the same way, Stefan, but I feel like they chose the wrong offseason to spend. They were better off spending this year rather than last year.
They chose the wrong 2 off seasons because this free agent class was trash. If I'm the Mets,
But I think they would have been better off than giving all that money to. Come on, like I don't want to like discriminate age or anything like that.
No.
But
Yeah, you're right.
Verlander and Max Scherzer, they're older
bad
guys.
Move. Yeah,
There's
bad
no
move.
way they should still be touching that kind of money.
But this is where David Stearns. You're gonna see what type of GM David Stearns is, because right now he's trying to figure out what he has. He don't know what he has. This is his first year on the job. All the Mets didn't spend enough. Why would you expect me to spend when the GM is brand new?
Right.
That makes no sense. That's like asking me to buy you a brand new car, and I don't even know if you can drive. I don't even know if you can even have the idea on how to do this, right? We know Carlos Mendoza is a good baseball man, but can he manage? Because that's a clear difference. Like, same thing with Joe Espada in Houston. We know you know baseball, but can you manage? That's a different game altogether. It's a different beast altogether. And when you start to talk about how important these teams and situations become, you start realizing, it's not as easy as it looks sitting in the seat, right next to the dude. You know what I'm saying? So
imagine being a brand new coach. You've never managed a team before.
Right.
Imagine the pressure of having to deal with so many different personalities.
Right.
And you got to get to know guys. You got to get to know what guys dislike.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see them in moments where things aren't really going their way. Do they switch up or do they stay true to themselves?
And that's why I told you, right? Before we started the show, when I said to you, this start for the Yankees is nice. We're going to get into that. But I like to know what happens when adversity hits. When you go through your first 5-6 game losing streak, when everything's not going your way, when the stars ain't playing like stars, do you front run or do you grind? Do you give it your all even when you're not playing well? For example, I'm going to be honest with you, right? The team that I'm watching this year, to me, and I'm watching them already because I want to see how they respond to when the pressure's on. I want the Braves to hit some adversity this regular season. I kind of need it because I think they need it for their own sanity. I don't want to see the division wrapped up by the time we hit mid-June, because then
it's a good thing you brought that up, because that's perfect segue into our next segment. Because I kind of feel like with Sean Murphy, the catcher, going down, this could be the first of what's to come for the Braves.
Yeah, but d'Arnaud is still great back there. He calls a great game. They have options. One of their top prospects or former top prospects, Chadwick Trump, he's a former catcher, so they have coverage, right? The thing I want to see is not how the injuries affect them, but how you respond if somebody punches you in the face during the season. Like, to me, I want to see their first meeting against the Diamondbacks. I want to see their first meeting against the Dodgers.
Yes.
I want to see their first meeting this year against the Yankees.
Right.
Because remember, every team plays each other now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see
which I love, by the way.
I want to see their first meeting against the Rangers, right? Because you start to realize, how good are we? Can we stand up to these teams and can we make a name for ourselves? And this is why in the National League, as a baseball fan, you must hope and pray that the Braves actually go through some level of adversity, where it's not all smooth sailing, where it's not all easy.
Which last year, that's exactly what it was like for them. And everything clicked, everything.
And look what happens when they got to October. They died. Because I believe playoff baseball is about grinding through. It's not so much about getting through, but grinding through.
Right.
Right? Like, to me, teams that I'm looking forward to watching, Texas, you just got to the series. How do you get back? How do you get off the mat? Right? Wyatt Langford, by the way, today, my boy hit a two-run triple. I thought he was going to leave the yard. I was getting ready to post that clip real quick. I was looking for it online.
Already showing why he belongs.
That kid is. You want to talk about hitter? That kid, he is him. By the way, speaking of that series, the Cubs scored 4 runs in the 9th inning today to win 9-5. It was tied going into the 9th inning.
Wow.
Cubs got, you know what I mean? Cubs did their thing today. So
yeah, I feel like over the past few days, there were a few games where teams sort of like just erupted in one inning.
like
I think there was one game where I think the Diamondbacks, what was it? How many runs they scored?
they scored 14 runs in the 3rd inning.
14 runs
In the
one
3rd inning. Yeah, no, crazy. Yeah, nuts. Here's this. The first Philly game, Zach Wheeler pitches into the 6th, right? Braves scored 7 runs in the 9th inning, won it 9-2.
Wow, that's ridiculous. And that's kind of scary too, because the Phillies actually have a decent bullpen. So for that to happen so late in the game, that's a little worrisome. I know it's early and things could look very different as the year goes on, but not a good sign, especially going up against a team who you know is going to be in your way come October.
All right, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Ready? What's Dave Dombrowski's major kryptonite, guys? By the way, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. For the 6 people that are in here, you know what I mean? Hit that thumbs up in here. What's going to be the major kryptonite for Dave Dombrowski, and what has been his major kryptonite throughout his entire career? Can you guess?
Pitching?
Building a bullpen. So what happens is, right, when you keep going to Alvarado's, Sir Anthony Dominguez, you keep going back to the same guys and you don't replenish your bullpen. Like, we give Brian Cashman a lot of crap. Oh, you missed out on this phrase and you missed out on that phrase. And he pulls 98 from dudes that we didn't even know were on planet Earth last week.
That's true. But first of all, I am gonna save this for later, but Clay Holmes being the Yankee closer, like I don't want to see that for long. But yeah, we'll get back into that.
We're gonna talk about that. Paging Edwin Diaz, because I got an interesting trade proposal for both teams.
Oh hell no! You didn't just stir the pot. Like, you literally just threw a curveball. Like, all right, I want to wrap up this segment. Not right now. We're gonna finish it as we should. But I'm so excited to get through this because I don't know. I feel like we're gonna end the show off on a bang. Like
let's just finish this real quick, right? The Braves, I want to see what they do moving forward, right? Like, you got to see how they respond to the Sean Murphy stuff. You got to see how they respond to how he comes back, because obliques are tricky, man. You could be feeling good and then you pull that bad boy again and then it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole thing changes.
Yeah. So, and I don't think they're gonna have as many guys healthy this year as they did last year.
No,
like so many things went well. Like, so many guys on that team had monster years. Acuna with the MVP. Matt Olson did what he did. Marcelo Zuna is still a decent bat that they have. What's his other guy? Austin Riley. I mean, are those guys capable of doing it again? Yes.
Yeah.
But the way the sport is, and guys, it's just natural. It happens. Guys go down.
That's the beauty of baseball, right? So that's the beauty of why I'm excited that the Pirates came out 4-0. Walked into Miami and was like, hold on, no, you're not better than us. We taking care of business. All right. By the way, shouts out to Mr. Jones, the rookie starter for the Pirates last night. Absolute filth. That is unfair. You got him, Mitch Keller, and then you got our boy sitting down there in AAA looking absolutely disgusting, Mr. Skeens.
Yeah.
Yo, those minor league hitters are like, yo, send help. Please send help. Did you see the story I posted yesterday of this absolute filth from this animal? He was throwing, he averaged. You want to know what his average was? His average on his fastball was 98.6 yesterday. And I'm sitting there going, hold up. First at bat of the game, 101. Sit down.
Ridiculous.
Like, damn, bro.
I'm gonna be honest. If I were in a batter's box and the first pitch I see is 101, I'm closing my eyes.
No, I'm quick. I'm walking
Like,
out of
I'm not even going to finish the at bat with my eyes open.
I'm retired. No, if I see 101, I'm retiring. We're going. I'm retiring.
Right.
I gotta stand up and hit what? Let alone hit it. I can't see it. How you want me to hit something I can't see?
Yeah.
And then he throws a nasty changeup, curveball combo at you. You just like, all right, bro. I'm helpless. What do I do here? Help me,
And
bro.
then what do you do too when a guy like that's their go-to pitch, and that's what they throw majority of the time.
God.
You know, sometimes you gear up for like an off-speed pitch and a fastball here and there, but like you said, Stephen, whatever guy is doing 101, 102, and then 101 again. Like,
and now hold on, and then the changeup is his best pitch, right? So you get up for 101. You just trying to cheat, start the bat early, and here comes a Bugs Bunny changeup at you going, hey, and you're just like, all right, I don't know what to do.
right.
Anybody want to help me? You want to send 2 hitters up here? Because 1 ain't enough.
Yeah.
I need 1 in each box. Help me, y'all.
Yeah, shout out to you, Chad. I had to wear it. I had to wear it.
Help me, y'all. By the way, no. So the Pirates are gonna be right. O'Neal Cruz is O'Neal Cruz. I like that. I like everything about that team, man. They're young. The guy Connor Joe. All he does is get knocks. All that team. That team is just fun.
I like the fact that they brought back Andrew McCutchen to kind of like be that mentor for the next crop of guys who are coming up in their system.
Yes, PNC is gonna be rocking this year. So if you're a Pirate fan and you watching this, you know what I mean, your Pirates are gonna be all right.
So before we get into the next segment, we also have go ahead.
Real quick, I just want to mention this because this is very important. Royce Lewis, the Twins shortstop, is going to be out he's going to be reevaluated in a month. Let me just explain what this means. He's going to be reevaluated in a month because they think he tore his quad.
Wow.
Or a partial tear. They're trying to figure out what the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if you're a Twin fan, between him and Byron Buxton, you gotta be at your wits' end with injuries, man.
You read my mind, bro. You know why? Because I was literally going to mention Byron Buxton. Like, could you believe that they never saw Byron Buxton actually be who he should have been? He's gonna be one of those players where, like, 10 to 15 years from now, we're gonna look back at his career and be like, damn, what could have been?
You know who he is? I don't know if you remember this dude. Remember when we went crazy over Jesus, what was his name? He was an outfielder too, and I'm going blank on the name, but he was a young boy.
Was he always injury prone?
Yeah. Oh, Grady Sizemore. He could do it
with
Cleveland
at the time. Yeah, Cleveland.
Yeah, he could do everything on the field. This guy had power, lefty stroke. You were like, damn, this motherfucker. I was getting ready to be like, oh, this is Jim Edmonds' twin, bro. Like this guy catches everything, but you never really got the full Grady Sizemore experience because his body just was like, nope.
Yeah, I feel like they're going through the same thing with Royce Lewis. Like, this is not his first time being banged up. He actually has already been known for that.
And then the thing is, do me a favor, pull up his injury history real quick on Google. Yo, this guy in the playoffs last year hit like damn near 600, hit like 400, hit a couple homers. He was hot. He was like the hottest player in baseball for the last month of last season.
Yeah.
And you thought, oh my God, if he comes back healthy with Correa and the crew they got in Minnie, it's going to be a problem out there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And you just realize, you're like, damn, this dude just can't stay healthy, man. Now,
so I have it here. Sorry to cut you off, Stephen, but let's just go over like the past couple years, let's say, right? So like Stephen said, of course, he's dealing with the right quad strain right now. Going back to last season, he also dealt with a right quad strain in October. He's dealt with some things here, man. Left oblique strain. Let's see. Right knee bone bruise. Royce Lewis. I mean, I hate to say this because, again, Stephen, you just talked about what he did in the playoffs for them, and then of course, not just making it to the playoffs, but making it to the second round, right? Like They didn't do that. Was it the second round, or was it that they won their
they won the wild
playoff?
card series. They won the wild card series.
Yes, there we go.
So you want to know what he does before he gets hurt? Homers and doubles, and I'm like, he's picking up where he left off last year.
Yeah,
hit a bomb in the fountains in KC, and you're like, hold up, wait, hold on. You got him, healthy Byron Buxton. We about to do work out here. Next thing you know, he comes rounding third on a basic, and you like, here we go. And then
I don't even know. I get it, because I know we talked about this before, and when you're a playoff team, it could never hurt to have a guy like Carlos Correa on your squad. But why in the hell did they bring him back? I'm sorry. I get it. I see you guys are trying, and you're showing the fan base that there are things that you can do if needed. But listen, I'm sorry. I don't think what they have is it. It just isn't.
It's not it. But let me just pour more cold water on your synopsis. You got 5 more years of this Byron Buxton contract, because they signed him to like a 7-year deal a couple years ago. Remember that they gave him 7 years, $100 million?
Boy,
I think there's like 4 or 5 years left.
Boy, and also Byron Buxton too. Like, I get it, man. You put so much work to want to play a certain way, to want to give it your all. Sometimes a player's body just can't do that. Like, rather than playing at 100%, you might have to play at 75. And playing at 75 is what's going to prevent you from getting hurt. I think Byron Buxton has to do that.
Some people just don't know how, bro.
Like listen, man, you got to stop trying to, die for every single ball. Stop crashing it to the wall. And he's a great defender, which is the thing that you don't want him to stop doing. But it's like, dude, you have to protect yourself in every way possible. And if that means you have to stop being that aggressive, I'm sorry, you just might have to.
Like, you know what? I look at a guy, you're talking about Byron Buxton, and we're talking about the Twins right now. Like, if I'm a White Sox fan, right? I look at what Luis Robert did yesterday, hitting 2 homers. He was damn near unbelievable, right? You're like, we got nothing else around this dude. Like, how much more are we going to hold on before he gets hurt and the value's just done? It's done. There's nothing there. Because you seen the highlight rip we ran through a couple weeks ago where this dude's leaping over walls. He's sending balls to the outer rings of Pluto.
Yeah.
And we just like, yo, dog, really? Really? Crazy. Crazy. And you just hope that guys get healthy and get right, man, because injuries are terrible. One more injury that personally just breaks my soul.
The whole controversy with Correa last year regarding his physicals I remember
the ankle.
And then another good point by Chad here, and that may very well be the reason why he ultimately went back to the Twins, because
the Twins said his $200 million guaranteed over 6 years.
The Twins said, listen, man, we'll take you even at 25%. Just come to Minnesota.
Oh my God. Listen, I don't know how many Juicy Lucy's burgers he gonna eat, but he gonna break the record trying.
What was the other injury that you were about to mention?
That Justin Steele injury just crushes my soul.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He's going to be down, I think they said a month with a hamstring injury. Then he's going to be reevaluated. So by the time he picks up a ball again, he might be looking at early July.
That's unfortunate, because we were just talking about how good he is for the Cubs, and now for this to happen so soon.
And I'm going to tell you this right now. That division is loaded. The Central, it's not World Series loaded, but they all going to compete against each other. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, the Cubs, even the Brewers, as spicy as they've been the last couple of days.
Yeah. I could see it being a little similar to, even though I think it'll be a bit more competitive, but just like the AL Central, I kind of feel like the Guardians, the Twins, even the Royals, you talked about it before, Stefan, they may even have a chance to make things interesting as well. But, all right, so now that we talked about that, let's get into our final segment on today's show.
Well,
the Yankees sweeping the Astros. Let's talk about it.
All right. See, he just used my line. He just used the talk about it line. I like that.
Of course. By the way, I am wearing this very proudly today. I did not hesitate to wear it. I don't care if it's too early. I don't care if it's this. I don't care if it's that. Listen, man, I told Stefan this during the off season. I haven't felt this excited for a regular season in quite some time. And I mean that. I feel like certain guys probably say that like every couple of years. No, it's been a little while for me.
See, you get excited for the fan base while I play the Russian judge and don't get excited for nothing.
Right. Stefan doesn't get excited until he sees a team holding a World Series trophy.
No. So you remember 2022?
Yes, they got swept in the ALCS.
But do you remember the early season 2022? They were the best team in baseball for the first 80 games.
Yes, they had an amazing first half. I remember.
So I'm sitting there going, all right, okay, 4 games. Let's not get too crazy. They went into Houston. I understand House of Horrors. Juan Soto was an animal. Shout to him, Juan Soto for president. We starting that hashtag, by the way. Because Lord knows these motherfuckers out here don't know what they're doing anyway. Juan Soto for president. I'm with all that. Right? The season doesn't start for me, Ivan, until they lose their first 4 out of 5. Because then I want to know, all right, what do you got?
I have a different start point, but finish. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
Because I'm going to tell you this right now, right? All this is good. All this is good. This is good, right? Nah, they weren't the best team in baseball in 2023. They got off to a rocky start last year. In 22, they were head and shoulders above the rest of the league until Christian Javier walked in the Yankee Stadium. They threw the combined no-hitter, and it fell off the tracks right then and there. Mm-hmm. So my whole thing is like, first of all, it's 2 weeks in. It's the Yankees. You know the injury bug is going to come biting at somebody in a half a minute.
Oh, we've seen it.
Yeah. So LeMahieu out for God knows how long. Which
right.
I don't even feel bad because Oswaldo Cabrera has turned into the left-handed version of Matt Chapman.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, that's why it's very important to follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. I'll put it up for you one more time. Because that's where you could find out things like that, right? Stefan, I know you just talked about LeMahieu going down. That's how I found out. So for a lot of you guys who are, worried about your favorite team and whether, a key player went down, follow the 27outs3C Instagram page because more often than not, you're going to hear about that stuff there first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's all well and good. I'm not saying don't get excited. What I'm saying is let's temper some expectations a little bit. Let's not go overboard, right? Because I think the tougher test is coming when they go to Arizona for the next 3 days. Mm-hmm. Houston's nice to beat because of the history. We got the monkey off our back. They beat the Houston Astros in the regular season the last 7 times.
Right. The regular season is not the problem.
This ain't nothing new, right?
And this is a great point by Emilio right here. Sweeping the Astros is nice, but winning Houston in the playoffs. Exactly.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, I'm not even worried about it. Let's get through this first and let's figure out where this team is at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
What I did want to say too, though, Stefan, because I know you talked about when the season, when the Yankee season pretty much starts for you. For me, it starts the moment we find out what this whole Garrett Cole thing is looking like, because we still don't really know what that's going to be. I'm remaining optimistic. I'm hoping that it's nothing serious, nothing that requires too much work, and he's able to be the Garrett Cole that we all love, right? But I've said it before. Right. If he comes back and he's not that guy, I don't know, because the Yankees don't seem to be quick at getting answers when they need them.
Well, I kind of like how they handled the Garrett Cole injury in this respect. They let him go through his own process. Because Garrett knows his body better than most athletes know theirs. Let's just agree on that. Can we agree on that? He knows his body very well, right? So he's not going to rush into something if he feels like I can get hurt, something can happen to me. All this is a problem, right? So he knows that. So my whole goal is if I see him on a mound anywhere after June 1st, I consider that a win. That's a win, right? And I'm gonna say this: I thought Carlos Rodon was good the other night. I know he battled through,
Yes.
but I thought he was good considering the circumstances, what he had to deal with, that lineup he had to navigate. The uniform looked like he took a shower after he took the mound. Those uniforms are just hideous, by the way. By the way, we're gonna have a full uniform segment on this show at some point. We're just not the two most educated guys to do this. So when we do it, we're gonna call up the third member of these 27-hour trilogy, which is Rick. You see him in the chat all the time. He's gonna be the guy that breaks that down for us. But I thought he battled, and I thought Stroh was typical Stroh.
Yeah.
He didn't break. He got the big outs when he needed it, and then that last out when he really had to punctuate the outing.
Yeah.
You saw the energy, the fire,
There was a couple of times because he went 6 innings, but before he actually completed his start, there were a couple of times where it looked like the Yankees were considering taking him out. They had the pitching coach, I believe, come out about 2 times.
Yeah.
And Stroman, he's that kind of guy where he wants to be able to finish any mess he gets himself into.
Yeah, he's a bulldog.
And he did exactly that, man. Listen, I know while he was pitching, the Astros did score 3 runs, but I think they were all unearned because the Yankees had about 3 errors that game.
He had one big one himself.
Right. Yes. Which is unfortunate because Marcus Stroman is a guy who definitely pitches to contact. So when you have a guy like that on a mound, you want to make sure that you're on your P's and Q's defensively.
Right. I agree. Listen, I don't think Houston's starters were bad. I just think the Yankees put good at bats on.
Yeah.
I just think Houston didn't put the same level of at bat on the Yankees as the Yankees did to Houston, if that makes sense.
I believe this year's Yankees team may have a chance to fight against them in the playoffs this year because the way they,
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm not even, while I appreciate the comment, it's way too early to be doing any of this.
Right.
It is way too early to be having conversations like this. We are barely a week into the season, right? Let's see how they fare coming out of this Arizona series because that's a nice litmus test early. Arizona's good.
Mm-hmm.
They just beat the living snot out of college. I mean, you could put a team out there full of 9 dudes to beat.
Cortez did battle as well.
He battled, yeah. And I thought Clark was good today too. I thought Clark was good today. I thought that they left him in an inning too long. I think Boone has to have a better feel for. All right, he went 5 for me. Let me get him out of there. Get him out of there on a confident note.
Right.
So that for his next start, he feels good. So now when you ask him to go into the 6th, he's like, all right, I can handle this.
Yeah. And I actually like how the Yankee lineup looks this far. I know you said it, Stefan. And we'll continue to say this over the next couple of weeks until baseball gets a little more interesting. And like you said, Stefan, guys start going down, teams start looking different. Who's going to actually bounce back? Who's going to fold?
I'm going to call it the normalization period. We're going to see what it looks like when baseball starts to normalize, when the teams that are supposed to be good are actually good and the fake contenders right now turn into pretenders. So we'll see what this looks like in a couple weeks.
Right.
That being said,
I mentioned the lineup really quickly. I just want to get this out. Because over the past couple years, we know that the Yankee lineup, it was literally hit or miss with Aaron Judge, right? Like we could only go as far as Aaron Judge would take them.
It was
believe it or not, Aaron Judge didn't do much in this series against the Astros.
Well,
in a way, I don't want to say I love that because I want to see Aaron Judge at his best. But
no, I love it.
It's great to see the reinforcement that the Yankees have. Like, all right, Aaron Judge doesn't going to have a good series. Well, here's who we have behind him. We got Juan Soto.
Here's what it's going to tell me. He never hits the Astros well, so I'm not surprised he was damn near invisible for this entire series. He doesn't hit Houston well. He didn't see the ball in that ballpark well. I think it's in his head. I think they have different numbers on him. I think they use them differently. I think they exploit him differently. I think the minute he gets into Chase Field, he's hitting one off one of those. He's hitting one straight into the pool. If you're in the pool, get out because he's probably going to go there a couple times in the next.
I was going to say that. Yeah, he might do it more than once.
We might get an Aaron Judge wake up call. You know what I mean? The season might have started for him in Arizona. Houston's been a house of horrors for him, so he figures, all right, screw it. I just took 4 days off. Season start for me in nice warm Arizona, and we're gonna have a nice little launch party. You know what I'm saying? but it's good to know Juan Soto's in the middle of it. Oswaldo Cabrera was in the middle of everything this weekend. By the way, there's a great story by Chris Kirshner in The Athletic that you must read. Read this story. Basically, as Drew Cabrera said, he saw Juan Soto in the cage and he wanted to emulate everything that Juan Soto did. Oswaldo, yes.
Yeah.
So he wanted to watch Juan Soto. So all he did all spring was like literally, you know how they say like you got somebody tracking you and somebody's just behind you every step. That was Oswaldo all season, all spring long, and he finished the spring going like 9 for 23, and he carried it into the regular season. So that's one thing that I'm looking to.
You see, when a guy like him performs like that, it's a big deal. You see, like Juan Soto, I get it. As good as he looks already in the Yankee uniform, I get it. New environment, new everything for him, right? But you sort of expect that from Juan Soto. Yeah. But for Oswaldo to do what he did, I mean, that shows progress. And obviously, he may not keep that up. He probably won't actually, right? But just the fact that he looks like a better player means a lot.
Right. You said I stirred the pot. So let's get to the full pot stirring right now. Mets and Yankees were about to do a deal a couple years ago. They have no qualms about doing deals if it's going to help one for the other. Right.
Hold on. Let me sit back. Let me listen to this. I recommend everybody else do the same. Get comfortable. We're gonna have a quick story time, so let me hear it.
What I would do right now, if I'm the Yankees, I offer the Yankees Spencer Jones. I'm offering you the Arias shortstop, the young shortstop that they like a lot. Basically, the top 3 prospects in my system are going to Queens. The Mets don't need a closer. You just seen Clay Holmes give you cardiac arrest for 3 of the 4 games in this series. You imagine Edwin Diaz walking out of a Yankee bullpen? Oh, my good Lord.
Oh, man.
Josh Hader, who? Best closer where? Who? Nah. Shut it all down.
So let me ask you this, because and I don't even think I should be asking this, because I think the Mets are probably not going to be doing any exploring when it comes to Edwin Diaz this season. I think they're just excited to have him back, right? Especially after he didn't even pitch a game last season for them after going down for the Puerto Rican team in the World Baseball Classic. But I would believe that it's the Yankees who are going to have to pick up the phone and make that call for this to even be a thing.
Well, here's the thing. If you Steve Cohen and what's his name? David
Stearns?
You taking calls already. You're going to win 80 games. If you're not going to contend till 2026, what does a closer do?
Yeah. I have the Mets right around it. Like
what does a closer do? Where if you're really going to go Acuna, you're going to go all these young guys, you're going to go Alvarez, you're going to go all young. Go all young. What good is a closer when you're going to lose anywhere between 85 to 90 games a season for the next 2 years?
So Rick says Mets won't do that trade because they make more money having him in Queens. Of course, I get it.
That makes sense.
By the way, Rick, when you say the trumpet sell, that is true. Like I know Mets fans who genuinely love to hear that, knowing that Edwin Diaz is on his way to the mound. They love it.
Well, get ready to hear it 15 times this shit, because that's the amount of saves he's gonna get.
No, don't do that, bro. Don't do that.
Don't do what? Don't tell the truth.
15 saves, dude. He's gonna get his like 25 to 30. I think. Come on,
you got them winning that many games. I got them barely winning 80 games.
But I'm right there with you. I did say that I have the Mets being a 75 to 80 win game team.
All right, so let me ask you a question. In all actuality, how many saves is he really going to get?
How many? I mean, look at it. Speaking of the trumpets, my girl there posting the trumpets. They like the trumpets, man. As bad as the team is, like, listen, I sometimes you have to see the good things, even though everything is literally looking like hell right before your eyes, right? And listen, unfortunately, all they have to see right now is Edwin Diaz.
So the building's burning down, but let's play the trumpets because it makes us feel good.
Exactly.
Man, hey.
But I'm with you. I do think
So,
that it would
but
be very interesting for
his
the Mets
his
to explore anything regarding Diaz.
so because here's the reality of the situation, right? The Yankees are not the only team I'm calling, right? There's other teams that I'd call and be like, "Yo, we need a closer. Let's make this work."
Yeah.
Like the Orioles, they need a closer.
Mm-hmm.
The Orioles got the prospects that the Mets will be satisfied if you traded Edwin Diaz to Baltimore.
Right. Dodgers as
You
well. They need a closer too.
you imagine Edwin Diaz in Baltimore? Because Lord knows Craig Kimbrell in the playoffs. You want to talk about Clay Holmes? Craig Kimbrell in the playoffs is more likely to blow a slave than tax his time.
He
You know what I'm
might get a
saying?
lot of opportunities to save games because the team ain't scoring anything. Right. Yeah, I think he's still gonna finish with a decent amount of saves. But the
I hear
team
you.
overall is not gonna have much to offer.
So, but this is where Steve Cohen is playing this kind of backwards to me, and we're leaving right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a closer that's going to close anywhere between 25 and 30 games. Let's go with your number. Let's just say he closes 25 to 30 games. Right? Are those 25 to 30 games worth to you the amount of, yeah, I guess it's worth it from a business sense, but because I'm looking at it strictly from a baseball sense. Like, it's like, I've always said this, like, there's no point in having a closer when you're going to lose umpteen games and be dead last. It just makes no sense to me. Like, that's always been my logic. I've always believed that, right? So in this case, it's no different. Granted, he's right across the river, so it does kind of beg the question, what do they plan to do, right? We'll leave it here. One name that I will watch, depending on how it goes in Pittsburgh, right, is David Bednar, who was the Pirates closer, who I like a lot. That's one name I'm watching because if it doesn't work out for him, I kind of want to see if Pittsburgh will be willing to explore conversations. Also, the Yankees and the Pirates made a trade this weekend for a hard-throwing reliever. I forgot his name. It's on the Instagram. It's on the Instagram. So no, so the Yankees know that they have bullpen they need to figure out.
Dodgers need Edwin Diaz, who closes games for them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, Evan Phillips is disgusting, but who's gonna get the ball to him? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, thank you, Rick, for that. The Yankees traded for Jake Cousins.
No, that was the trade they made today with the White Sox. The trade they made with Pittsburgh was
okay.
Was someone else. But no, like the Yankees know that there's a bullpen need in there somewhere. So the question then becomes is like, okay, how do we go about navigating this, especially late in games when Clay doesn't have his stuff? And I want to be honest with you, I would, if you're gonna go Jonathan Loaiza 2 innings, make Jonathan Loaiza the 8th and the 9th inning guy, and let him get the majority of the save opportunities because Clay is just a basket case.
Yeah, no, I rather Clay more of like a setup man type of role.
Yeah,
he doesn't really give me a guy who I feel confident with having on the mound to close out a game, especially when you have guys like Altuve coming up, Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman. Like I want a guy who can face all three of them.
Is gonna nail it down.
It's gonna be a challenge. Don't get me wrong, but he gets all three out.
He's gonna nail it down. Like I'd like a guy. See, but we're spoiled because we saw the greatness of Mariano for God knows how long.
Yeah, like the stat means we're never gonna see that again.
So when you start hearing the Enter Sandman music, you start getting your stuff ready, throw the car keys.
That's like asking to see another version of LeBron James after he's done. We're just not gonna see that.
That ain't happening. Although Wemby's making a case for it because Victor Wembanyama the other night. Good Lord Almighty.
Right.
We'll end it on that note, but I just want to make one more quick observation.
All right, before you say that, Stefan, one last reminder because it seems like we always get like a subscriber or two like right after the show is done because you guys are listening to when we let you know to subscribe. So, of course, follow us on Instagram, as we always say, at 27outs3C and the YouTube. Remember, you should be subscribed. There's no reason why you're here every week with us and you're not subscribed. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, so let's just end this on a note like this. I'll end this on a question, which we're going to answer next week. Are the Oakland A's doomed for failure in any way that they go? Can they make it work in Vegas? Are they done in Oakland? I'll have the answer for you next week. So come back, tune in. We're starting with the Oakland A's next week, people. We're starting with Oakland. We're going to talk about that whole stadium debacle. Ivan, I sent you an article today. There's going to be more stuff that comes out about it. Do they play in Sacramento? Do they not? Are the A's going to give them a lease for the next 3 seasons? What are we doing? So we're starting with the lowly A's next week, people. You know why? Because we talk baseball on the show. Not just the good baseball, but the bad baseball too. Speaking of bad baseball, this show wasn't bad. I know that. And with that being said, hit that music, bruh.